Plumbers, delivery guys, doctors, or people in any other line of work that is often depicted in adult films. Have you ever been in a situation that could be mistaken for a scene from one of these films? Not me directly, but my co-worker at a pizza place I delivered for during college in a college city that is open very late. Some woman called in and ordered some food, was told the wait was going to be closer to an hour. This was pretty normal once the bars in town closed. She told the guy on the phone that if the pizza was there in 20 minutes, she would fuck the delivery driver. Of course, this guy thinks it is hilarious and tells the manager. Manager decides to prioritize the delivery and send the one older married dude that delivered for us and not tell him what the situation is. The driver comes back white as a ghost and immediately says, "You will never f***ing believe what just happened." Everyone dies laughing because we know he is a good dude and would never cheat on his wife. But apparently, this super attractive, clothed, college-aged girl answered the door and said something along the lines of, "Well, you made it in time. Let's fuck." Driver obviously has no idea what is going on and just awkwardly blurts out he is married, asks her to sign the receipt and dips out. Smart on the manager for sending that guy. Any college-aged guy working there would have probably taken her up on her offer. We all got a good laugh, and the chick got her pizza in 20 minutes. Lots of good stories from that job. I used to deliver pizzas for a neighborhood joint. I pulled up to this huge house with a Mercedes parked out front. The order was a 16-inch sausage pizza. I think to myself, this is it. I'm about to be in a prom. I ring the doorbell. A gorgeous woman in her mid-40s answers the door. I don't even have time to think. It just comes out. "I have a 16-inch sausage for you." She signs the credit card slip, leaves me no tip, and then closes the door in my face. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Delivered pizzas, and the instructions were, "The door will be unlocked. Please bring into bedroom down the hallway." I asked the manager, "Oh, you've never delivered to her. She is bedridden. Her caretaker must not be there. She is awesome. Don't forget plates and napkins." Used to deliver pizzas. Not my story, but a co-worker's, who happens to be one of the most socially awkward dudes I've worked with. Trashy lady answered the door in a swimsuit and asked, "How do I look?" to which my co-worker responded, "Hungry." I've shared this story before, but here goes. I used to be a princess for kids' birthday parties. I showed up to a party as Sleeping Beauty, only to be greeted by a large group of guys celebrating a 30th birthday. There was immense confusion. Guy who booked it all is like, "But I ordered Aurora for an hour and a half." Half of the guys start cracking up. "Bro, Aurora is Sleeping Beauty. You got a princess instead of a stripper." No one can figure out how this happened. I ended up painting faces and making balloon animals until they were able to procure some actual strippers, who were all really nice and found the whole thing hilarious and got tipped very well. All in all, not a bad party. Meanwhile, a confused stripper was having a very awkward time at a kid's party. Pizza delivery in college. Super hot late 20s lady opens the door in an extremely small towel and berated me for delivering too fast. Nobody got the tip. I'm a plumber who does lots of maintenance in large apartment blocks throughout the city. Often, the tenants aren't there during the day, so we call them, arrange a time, and pick up a set of keys to their apartment from head office. I've got a job to fix a leaky shower head. Pretty basic stuff. I get the keys, go up to the apartment and loudly knock on the door. No answer after 10 seconds. So I slowly and loudly insert the key into the door, all to procedure. I open the door and walk my tools in when I notice two young women completely stark nude in the kitchen. They seem as shocked as I am, and after a split second I apologize red-faced and back out. I call the number I was given on the work order and one of the women answer. Apparently they were expecting someone else, and the shower is fine. I think they were expecting a guy to come in, since the bloke who works the phone for my company has a pretty attractive voice. There aren't many female plumbers like me either. Delivered pizza to a house in the suburbs on a Friday night. Door opens and this guy stuffs a $100 bill down my shirt. I'm female, was 18 at the time. I stand there in shock as one of his buddies comes over to grab him and apologizes over and over. Guy was drunk and apparently thought I was a stripper. The other guys in the house are playing poker. I tried to return the money, but the buddy told me to keep it and said they'd tell him the story in the morning and make fun of him for it. Delivered a pizza to a woman, maybe in her early 40s. She asks my name. I say it and she responds with, "Dick," while staring into my eyes asking me if that's what I said my name was. I have always thought I could have had an opportunity there. I'm a housekeeper. Every time I ask a guest if there is anything else they may need, I brace myself for the worst. I worked as a security guard in a hotel and had to tell a lady to turn down music. She flashed me and giggled. Had to go back later, and she was wearing a robe that was open in her underwear and no bra. She was super f***ed up. Another time, my significant other worked as a pizza delivery driver, so I had her deliver my pizza and we had sex when she dropped it off. Was a plumber for a long time. A few years ago on Christmas Day, I had a call for a gas leak. When my partner and I arrived, the lady admitted there was no gas leak. She said she just wanted some company, so she paid the service fee for us to sit there for an hour and talk with her over coffee. Turns out she was a romance novel writer and was extremely lonely. I got some weird vibes like she wanted more from us, but nothing happened aside from the conversation. When we were leaving, she tipped us $100. It was the coolest, most awkward experience of my plumbing career. I'm a personal trainer. A client once took me out for lunch and then suggested we have dessert at her place because her kids were at school and her husband was away. I was delivering pizzas. The woman invites me into her house as she gets her money. She comes back unbuttoning her shirt. She was an elderly woman who just had a radical mastectomy and she wanted to show me her scare. I clean at a hotel, cleaning the men's public washrooms, and every time a man will walk in already unzipping, so I dart for the door, but at least once a week, I'm told not to be so quick to leave. Was sweeping the hallway Friday night, and a couple stood a few feet away for a minute, then stood further down the hall. About 5 minutes later, the wife asks me to join them in their room, adding one for my maintenance co-worker who was servicing the pool and was asked by a hot tub full of women to join them. He said he didn't have anything to change into. I'm not sure how, but he didn't get in. Add, I showed him this post just now and he is impressed with the likes, but he told me it wasn't the actual pool room. It was in one of our rooms with a jacuzzi in it and there were dildos visible in the room. As a pizza delivery guy, I was once greeted by a trailer trash lady in an open bathrobe. It was gross. I used to work in a hotel, frequently doing room service. One late night order came in for a bottle of wine and one glass. Upon delivering it, the lady tipped me generously and asked if I fancied sticking around for a bit and patted the bed next to her. If she was 10 years younger and we weren't so busy that night, I may have considered it. Delivery guy here, 3 times flashed by pervy men in bathrobes saying, "Whoops," while staring into my eyes. Not my thing. Countless women that flash. A little when answering the door. I assume a small percentage are exhibitionists and most are just running late. I politely avert my eyes and give them their lunch. And then there's my boo. She orders often, always answers in a really small towel, and always drops it a bit. She giggles when she drops the towel, and it's really hard for me to not look. Distracts me for hours every time. I had a super hot customer once. She just bought the house. I was doing work in the basement. I was cleaning up and getting the guys out of there. I told that I'd like to collect before I leave. She told me to come back to the bedroom when I was finished. I seriously was ready for anything. She was painting the walls. I am a doctor, and during my rotation in psychiatry, when I was a fresh graduate, I had to take a history from a lady patient with erotomania. She was lying on the bed while I walked in her room, but halfway through the conversation, she changed her posture to be something similar to Rose in the drawing scene in Titanic, asking me personal questions and intentionally showed me her cleavage. She also accidentally touched my thigh. Being a professional doctor, I continued taking history without any impure thoughts. I understand that is wrong to have any form of relationship with my patients, and I will definitely not take advantage of my patient's mental illness for my personal satisfaction. That, and also, I was in old age psychiatry ward. I was working as a doctor in an A&A department. Guy comes in with testicle pain, possible torsion. As one of 2 male doctors in the department at the time, I was sent to examine him. After a quick chat, I have to get to business and examine his balls. Thankfully, for him everything was normal. But during the exam, he gets a little excited. I'm professional and just ignore it. But as part of the exam, you have to look at their face to see if they are in pain. I notice the guy is actually grinning at me as he gets hard. It was literally something out of porn. My husband, when he was younger, worked as a pizza delivery guy. There was always an older lady who answered the door in her see-through nightie, and there was always an older guy that answered the door in just his tighty-whities, with a hard-on and paw obviously playing in the background. Worked as a pizza delivery guy while going through school. Delivered to a house one afternoon with 2 girls, both 18 at most. As one goes to get the money, the other says, "We'll give you a blowjob right now if you want one." The whole thing felt like cameras were going to pop out of closets any minute. I got the money and left. Incredibly awkward. Edit, getting some emails. I was about 20 at the time, working and going to college. Girls seemed a little young, even though there wasn't too much of an age difference. Just not my thing. I was working in an independent mechanic shop, checking out a customer's car. While laying on my creeper under her car, she asked me a question. When I turned and looked, she was squatting on her haunches, legs spread wide open, pantyless, with the nastiest hooch I've ever seen, sores oozing pus, a tampon string hanging, and an uneven trim job. It was horrific. I was a pizza delivery driver a couple years ago. I was delivering a pizza to a girl I knew, but it was up a couple flights of stairs, so I called her and said I was outside her place in the street. She said if I delivered to her door at the top of the stairs, she would give me a blowjob. So of course, I sprinted up the stairs and she sucked my dick in the hallway of her apartment. Used to do service work for a water utility. One time, I had a call to this house in a nice neighborhood. An attractive woman in her early 40s answers the door and lets me in to check a leaking pipe in the basement. I give the typical, "How's it going?" and she tells me that her divorce was finalized earlier in the week. She is now single for the first time in 12 years, and this was the first husband chore that popped up around the house. The cause of the leak was the expansion connector on the water meter, which just needed to be tightened a hair. I showed her how to fix it if it ever happened again and wished her the best.